I was standing in my kitchen at 6 a.m., holding a lukewarm cup of coffee and worrying about a 9 a.m. PowerPoint presentation when the first heavy knock hit my front door. I thought it was a neighbor. I thought maybe my car alarm had gone off. But when I looked through the peephole, I didn't see a neighbor. I saw 4 federal agents in windbreakers with FBI emblazoned across the back in yellow letters. As they pressed a search warrant against the glass, my mind flashed back to a Tuesday morning 3 years ago, the day I received a strange, one-sentence email from my boss that I decided to ignore. I told myself it was just how the business worked. I told myself I was being a team player. I didn't realize that by clicking delete on that warning sign, I wasn't securing my career, I was signing my own indictment. I didn't just lose my job that day. I lost my freedom, my reputation, and every cent I had ever earned. And the worst part? I saw it coming. I just chose to believe the lie that I was too important to be the fall guy. In the US, we are raised to believe in the hustle. We're told that if a high-growth startup offers you a seat on a rocket ship, you don't ask which seat, you just get on. That was me. I was 29, working for a fintech firm in Manhattan that was disrupting the payment processing industry. The pay was incredible. $160,000 base, stock options that looked like a winning Powerball ticket, and an office with a panoramic view of the skyline. My boss, we'll call him Marcus, was the ultimate charismatic leader. He didn't just walk into a room, he owned the air inside it. He made us feel like we were part of an elite brotherhood. We weren't just employees, we were the Founders Circle. But the Founders Circle had a secret language. It was the language of the gray area. Marcus would say things like, "We move fast and break things," or "Compliance is just a suggestion for people who aren't moving fast enough." At the time, it sounded edgy. It sounded like Silicon Valley success. I ignored the pit in my stomach because my bank account was finally full, and for the first time in my life, I felt powerful. The first RAL warning came 6 months in. I was reviewing a series of merchant accounts when I noticed a pattern. We were processing millions of dollars in transactions for companies that didn't seem to exist, shell companies with addresses that led to empty lots in Delaware or UPS stores in Florida. I sent a polite, slightly concerned email to Marcus asking for clarification on these Class B accounts. 10 minutes later, he didn't reply. He walked into my office and closed the door. He didn't raise his voice. He sat on the edge of my desk, smiled, and said, "Hey, I love the attention to detail. That's why you're here. But those accounts? They're part of a high-level strategic partnership. It's a bit outside the box for the traditional auditors. Let's keep that between us. We don't want to spook the investors over a technicality, right?" Then came the hook. "By the way, I'm putting you up for that senior VP slot next month. You've earned it." I had a choice. I could have pushed back. I could have reported it to the SEC. But the senior VP title flashed in my mind like a neon sign. I convinced myself that I was just a mid-level manager, that if something was wrong, the adults in the room would handle it. I mistook my proximity to power for protection by power. Over the next 2 years, the warnings became louder, but my ears became deafer. There were the frantic phone calls in the middle of the night from overseas banks. There was the time the CFO quit to spend more time with family with only 2 hours notice on a Friday afternoon. There was the day the internal servers were wiped by accident right before a routine audit. Every time, Marcus had an answer. Every time, there was a bonus, a luxury watch, or a promotion to distract me. This is the psychology of complicity. When you're being paid well to ignore the truth becomes very expensive to acknowledge. I started drinking more. I stopped sleeping. I knew the gray area had turned pitch black, but I was too deep. I had a mortgage on a house in the suburbs, 2 kids in private school, and a lifestyle that required every cent of that dirty salary. I wasn't a victim. I was a passenger who saw the driver was drunk but stayed in the car because the seats were heated and the music was good. The end didn't happen at the office with a dramatic "you're fired." It happened at 6 a.m. at my front door. While the agents tossed my house, moving my wife and kids to the backyard in their pajamas, I sat at my dining table realizing the true depth of Marcus's mentorship. He had been using my digital signature to authorize those shell company transactions for years. Every time I looked the other way, I was actually signing my name to a felony. He hadn't been protecting me, he had been building a paper trail that ended exactly at my feet. Marcus fled the country 3 days before the raid. He had a private jet and an offshore account in the Caymans. I had a public defender and a frozen bank account. I spent 18 months in a federal corrections facility for conspiracy to commit wire fraud. I lost the house. My marriage survived, but the trust is a fractured thing. I am now a felon. In the US, that's a life sentence of a different kind. I can't work in finance. I can't even get a lease on a decent apartment without a struggle. The most painful part isn't the prison time. It's the memory of that first email I sent to Marcus. I look back at that 29-year-old version of myself and I want to scream, the promotion is a bribe. The silence is a trap. If you are sitting in an office right now and something feels off, if you're being told to look the other way or that this is just how we do things, that isn't a culture. It's a warning. And if you ignore it, you aren't being a team player. You're being a scapegoat. Have you ever seen something at work that felt wrong but you were too afraid to speak up? Did you stay or did you run? Tell me your unspoken workplace story in the comments. We need to hear them. If this story gave you a chill, hit the like button. For more true accounts of the dark side of ambition and power, subscribe to Unspoken Stories. Don't wait for the knock on the door to start listening to your gut.